یہ فرحان بھائی اختر عثمان کے اسلامی اشعار سے میں اپنا آغاز کرنا چاہوں گا. وہ کہتے ہیں کہ کوئی بتائے کہاں رد و قد علی نے کیا، نبی نے جو بھی کہا صد بصد علی نے کیا. کوئی بتائے کہاں رد و قد علی نے کیا، نبی نے جو بھی کہا صد بصد علی نے کیا. اور ہمیشہ نعرے جہنم ٹھکانہ ہے اس کا، ہمیشہ نعرے جہنم ٹھکانہ ہے اس کا. جہاں میں رد ہوا جس کو رد علی نے کیا، جہاں میں رد ہوا. کوئی بتائے کہاں رد و قد علی نے کیا، نبی نے جو بھی کہا صد بصد علی نے کیا. ہمیشہ نعرے جہنم ٹھکانہ ہے اس کا، جہاں میں رد ہوا جس کو رد علی نے کیا. اور عذاب راندہ درگاہ حیدری توبہ، عذاب راندہ درگاہ حیدری توبہ، وہ مسترد ہیں جنہیں مسترد علی نے کیا. وہ مسترد ہیں.
خوشنود امام زمانہ علیہ السلام بلند تر صلوات.
عذاب راندہ درگاہ حیدری توبہ، وہ مسترد ہیں جنہیں مسترد علی نے کیا. اور خوشا نصیب ہوں مامور مداح اہل بیت، خوشا نصیب ہوں مامور مداح اہل بیت. کمال یہ ہے مجھے نامزد علی نے کیا، کمال یہ ہے مجھے نامزد علی نے کیا. اور جناب سیدہ نے ثبت کر دی مہر ولا، جناب سیدہ نے ثبت کر دی مہر ولا. میرے لکھے کو صریحاً سند علی نے کیا. وہ مسترد ہیں جنہیں مسترد علی نے کیا. اور جناب امیر المومنین کی ثنا میں چند اشعار کہ جناب امیر المومنین جیسا اس دنیا میں کوئی اور نہیں ہے. ایسی خوبیاں، ایسی صفات کا مالک، ایسی نسبتوں کا مالک جہان میں مولا علی کے علاوہ کوئی اور علی ہے ہی نہیں. تو چند اشعار اسی پہ کہ کوئی دوسرا علی سا نہ ہوا نہ ہے نہ ہوگا، کوئی دوسرا علی سا نہ ہوا نہ ہے نہ ہوگا، کوئی دوسرا علی سا. اچھا، علی جیسا کوئی دوسرا کیوں نہیں ہوگا؟ اس کی وجوہات ہیں. سب سے جو پہلی وجہ ہے کہ جناب رسول خدا نے فرمایا کہ خدا نے مجھے جناب سیدہ فاطمہ عطا کی. اگر اس کی ایک وجہ تھی کہ اگر خدا علی کو خلق نہ کرتا تو فاطمہ کا کوئی کف بھی نہ ہوتا. تو ایسی نسبتیں، ایسی صفات کسی اور کی نہیں. تو شاعر نے کہا کہ دلہا خدا کے گھر کا، دلہا نبی کے گھر کی، دلہا خدا کے گھر کا، دلہا نبی کے گھر کی. دنیا میں ایسا رشتہ نہ ہوا نہ ہے نہ ہوگا، دنیا میں ایسا رشتہ.
خوشنود امام زمانہ و سلامتی انقلاب اسلامی و محافظ انقلاب اسلامی رہبر زمین جہاں آیت اللہ سید علی خامنائی و آیت اللہ سید علی سستانی و سلامتی قائد الحزب اللہ سید حسن نصر اللہ و قاسم سلیمانی و سلامتی و سلام بر قاسم سلیمانی و سلامتی آیت اللہ شیخ زکا زکی و آیت اللہ شیخ عیسیٰ و سلامتی جوانان حیدر کرار الخصوص جوانان بسیجی بلندر صلوات
کوئی دوسرا لسان نہ ہوا نہ ہے نہ ہوگا، کوئی دوسرا لسان۔ علی کی ایک اور نسبت کہ جس خاندان میں علی پیدا ہوا اس جیسا کوئی خاندان شجر طیبہ دنیا میں نہیں ہے۔ علی جیسا باپ کسی کا باپ نہیں، علی جیسے کسی کے بھائی کسی کا بھائی نہیں۔ لوگ فتوے لگاتے ہیں جناب ابو طالب علیہ السلام پہ، تو جناب ابو طالب کی ذات پہ تو کوئی فرق نہیں پڑتا، وہ اپنے ہی ایمان کا گھاٹا کر رہے ہیں۔ تو شاعر نے کیا خوب جواب دیا ان کو کہ تو لاکھ بول کافر لیکن یہ یاد رکھنا تو لاکھ بول کافر لیکن یہ یاد رکھنا عمران کا خسارہ نہ ہوا نہ ہے نہ ہوگا، عمران کا خسارہ۔ تو لاکھ بول کافر لیکن یہ یاد رکھنا عمران کا خسارہ نہ ہوا نہ ہے نہ ہوگا، کوئی دوسرا علی سا نہ ہوا نہ ہے نہ ہوگا۔ بآواز بلند صلوات۔ بارے دیگر بآواز بلند صلوات۔ صلی اللہ محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم۔ امین کرام، آج کے دن کی بہت زیادہ مناسبتیں ہیں، شب قدر کے حوالے سے بھی بہت زیادہ اہمیت ہے آج کے دن کی۔ دوسرا جو اہم نقطہ جس کی وجہ سے جو تمہید ہے برائے اگلے سیشن کی، وہ یہ کہ آج کا دن مخصوص ہے قدس کے حوالے سے، جو ہمارا قبلہ اول بھی ہے۔ شہید مرتضیٰ مطہری یعنی سب واقف ہیں ان کی شخصیت سے، ان کی علمی سطح سے، ان کی کنٹریبیوشن سے۔ اگر انقلاب اسلامی ایران میں دوسرا بڑا نام، تیسرا بڑا نام لیں تو 3 بڑے ناموں کے اندر شہید مرتضیٰ مطہری کا نام لیا جانا ہماری ذمہ داری ہے، ہماری مجبوری۔ وہ کہتے ہیں کہ آج اگر رسول خدا زندہ ہوتے تو سب سے زیادہ حساسیت قدس کے مسئلے پر دکھاتے، یعنی وہ تمام انسانوں کے لیے، صرف مسلمانوں کے لیے نہیں، تمام انسانوں کے لیے، چونکہ ظلم کی بنیاد کی وجہ سے مسئلہ بنا ہوا ہے تو تمام انسانوں کی ذمہ داری بنتی۔ تو اس حوالے سے ایک چھوٹی سی ویڈیو ہے، آپ تمام مومنین سے التماس ہے کہ متوجہ رہیں۔ چھوٹی سی ویڈیو کلپ ہے جو ابھی آپ کے سامنے پیش کیا جائے گا، کوشش کریں کہ اس کو ضرور دیکھیں۔ ایٹ لیسٹ ہمارے ذمے جو ہم لوگ پڑھے لکھے لوگ ہیں یا ایسے کنٹری کے اندر رہتے ہیں کہ ان کی ذمہ داری ہے کہ آگے تک منتقل کی جانے والی جو چیزیں ہیں وہ ہمارے ذریعے سے ہوں، نہ کہ ہم جو ہے ان چیزوں کی بنیادوں کو سیکھیں۔ تو بہرحال ایک دفعہ بآواز بلند صلوات پڑھیں۔ اللهم صل على محمد و آل محمد و عجل فرجهم. بار دیگر بآواز بلند صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد و آل محمد و عجل فرجهم. قسم خدا کی نبھانے میں کامیاب ہوا، قسم خدا کی نبھانے میں کامیاب ہوا، سبھی ہی زمانے میں کامیاب ہوا. قسم خدا کی نبھانے میں کامیاب ہوا، فقط علی ہی زمانے میں کامیاب ہوا. جہاں میں روشنی اس بات کی ضمانت ہے، جہاں میں روشنی اس بات کی ضمانت ہے، علی چراغ جلانے میں کامیاب ہوا. میں بلا تاخیر گزارش کروں گا، I will request Sheikh Ehsan Ahmadi to come on stage and recite the Majlis of Shahadat. اور سب کی صحت و سلامتی کے لیے بآواز بلند صلوات. اللہم صل علی محمد و آل محمد وعجل فرجهم. نعرہ تکبیر، نعرہ تکبیر، نعرہ رسالت، نعرہ رسالت، نعرہ حیدری، نعرہ حیدری. حبیب خدا ختم الانبیاء محمد مصطفیٰ بآواز بلند صلوات.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. وأما بعد، فقد قال الله الحكيم في محكم كتابه: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر، وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر. ليلة القدر خير من ألف شهر. تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر. سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Recite a salawat again. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all of your great deeds and amal, especially your recitation of the Quran, your maintenance of prayer and offering of your salat and fasting, and all of your great deeds in terms of society and your family and your community and your brothers and sisters. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give every single one of us the maximum amount of benefits for this blissful night, night of Qadr, including the true ma'rifah of the Ahlul Bayt and the teachings of the Quran by reciting aloud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. It is the third of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam. So let's recite a loud salawat in the honor of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. And inshallah we can ease the pain and the stress from the beautiful heart of our Imam of time, Hazrat Sahib al-Asr wa Zaman, Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu sharif, by reciting our loudest of salawat. Last but not least, it is the night of Qadr. Every single mu'min or mu'mina on planet Earth wishes to experience the night of Qadr, as if like we are living a whole year for such a night. So inshallah we can include all of those who are departed or do not have access to the majalis of Layali of Qadr, especially marhumin and marhumat of the group here, and inshallah all of the marhumin and marhumat of mu'mineen and mu'minat around the world, by reciting your last of salawat followed by Surah Al-Fatiha. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. We're thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all of this bounty and blessing to be able to gather around on the most blissful night of the year, known as the night of Qadr, the night of destiny, the night of power. And what a better topic to talk about than to benefit from the teachings of the Quran and the Ahlul Bayt. A lot of times we have been gifted with so many ni'mat and so many blessings and so many bounty, and we would just take it for granted. One of those ni'mah and bounty is the very same night that we are living in, the very same night that we're experiencing it. The night of Qadr is not only unique to the Muslimin and Muslimat. Literally speaking, when we go back, the night of Qadr is the reality that existed even in the previous nations. But the perfection form of the night of Qadr, that kamal of the night of Qadr, is what we refer to in the Surah Al-Qadr, Inna anzalnahu fi Laylatul Qadr. So when we look at the Surah Al-Qadr, which is specifically for tonight, there are different aspects to talk about this surah. Actually, one of the deeds for tonight is what? To recite this surah how many times? 1,000 times, right? So as you are listening, you can actually recite the surah, inshallah, right? So 1,000 times. This number is quite a bit for one night. The one night that each deed equals to more than 1,000 months. So 1,000 times of a Surah Qadr, each time equals to more than 1,000 months. How many of that would be worth of act? Those who are good with mathematics, they can tell me, right?
1,000 years.
No, 1,000 Surah Qadr. Each Qadr adds up to more than 1,000 months worth of a deed.
8,000 years.
8,000 years?
80,000.
I will not give my money to him. No. That's
83 years.
Okay. Alhamdulillah. Recite the salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. May Allah bless his soul and all of those who have volunteered and who participate and who have sponsored the programs. Let's recite the salawat for all of them. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So this number indicates the great amount of importance of this surah. So a lot of times when we want to look at the tafsir of this surah, usually some of the points I refer to, number one is the topic of the inzal of the Quran. The inzal versus the tanzil, the difference between the two, different type of descension of the Quran or revelation of the Quran, how it was done in one night or was it done gradually over the period of 23 years, right? The two different types. That's one thing. The other thing which is constantly we remind of ourselves, which as I mentioned, the 3 nights of Qadr, as if like each night is a preparation for the ultimate night which we're experiencing it tonight, right? It is a topic of vilayat. And according to our Imams, the perfect document, the perfect proof of the vilayat and visayat and imamat is Suratul Qadr. How so? Which part of it? تنزل الملائكة فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر. So this ayah is a perfect proof in order to prove that this world, this reality as we're living in, cannot go without that wali, cannot go without that perfect human, insan kamil, cannot go without that imam al-ma'soom. Why? Because Allah is using tanazzul. It's a mulare, constantly. He's not using ma, he's not using a past tense. He's not saying at the time of Nabi Rasulullah, the malai came down and it was the finished. No, he's using it in a continuation form. Every year on the night of Qadr, this is happening. What's happening? The angels and the ruh. What is ruh? Higher form of an angel, or you can say that high status of the angels, right? All of them, they get descended. Descended upon what? That's the question. They get descend down to what? If they get descend down to the earth, Malaik and earth have nothing in common. They need a place to descend down, right? The airplane has to descend on the airport, right? It has to have the proper, like, place. Where would then angels descend down upon? Where would the ruh descend down upon? Whatever place that it has to be descend down to has to have what we say sankhiyat, has to be of the same, like, you can say material or quality, or the quality of the two, right? Apple with apple, orange with oranges. We cannot say, for example, malaika come down and they get descent on a planet which is all made out of like soil and dust, and the four, like, the factors that we have within the planet Earth. No, it has to have that relativity between each other. So that's why we raise the question. So where is the whereabouts of the angels and the ruh on the night of Qadr? Because everybody agrees that night of Qadr keeps on happening. Okay, so where do malaik come down to? Do they come down from, like, different parts of the room? Are the malaiks like for example sitting here and we do not see them? No, that's sci-fi movie, right? We do not believe in sci-fi movie. But they need a place to descend upon. What is that? And it has a lengthy discussion, which is again the second point about Surah Al-Qadr. We say that will be the heart of the Imam Ma'soom, the infallible Imam. That's the only place that the angels and the ruh, they can descend upon, and that's how they bring about the information, the provisioning, which we say the whole purpose of Night of Qadr is what? The entire year worth of provisioning that we have, the ruzi that we have, the rizq that we have, the ajal that we have, the marid and the shifa, and all of this stuff that we gain, everything will be set up and be written and be reported and will be confirmed and approved on such a night. Where? At the heart of Imam al-Ma'soom. So this time of day, Imam of time, Hazrat Sahib al-Asr, was Zaman Jalallah Ta'ala Farajah Shaykh.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
So that's the second point. Now the third point, which I would like to talk about a little bit more, is that okay, now alhamdulillah, we're here on the night of Qadr. It has already started, a couple hours has already passed, so we're a little behind of the schedule if you want to catch up. So what are we technically supposed to do in the night of Qadr? We can do a lot of du'as, we can do a lot of recitation of the Quran, we can do a lot of, like, azadari, matam, speeches, we can have, like, a circle of discussions, right? We can gain ma'rifah, we can do a lot of different things on night of Qadr. Do we have any points from the Quran that tells us what is it that we have to do on this night? From the very same Surah Al-Qadr, where does it talk to us about what stage should we be in during this couple of hours of staying awake? Because number one, you have to understand what ihya means. On the night of Qadr, we say we're going to go for ihya. What is the meaning of ihya? Ihya comes from hay. Hay means when something becomes live, right? So meaning, like, when we say we do the ihya on the night of Qadr, it doesn't mean that I just stay awake. No, I have to make the night alive. I have to turn it from being dead to be alive. There has to be a condition here. Right? If I just stay awake, let's say I put 2 tapes on my eyelids, I keep it open for the entire day, for the entire night. Would that be considered as ihya? No, that's not ihya. Ihya means like to try to make the night live. Why night? Because everybody else is sleeping. Everybody else is going with whatever ignorance that they have, But here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is providing that exclusive provisioning in the night of Qadr. Condition for it, we have to make sure we make this night a live night. So that's Ihya. Now, what to do? The very last ayah of Surah Al-Qadr. What's the last ayah of Surah Al-Qadr? Salamun hiya hatta matla'il fajr. From this moment, from the moment of the night of Qadr that it starts, salam hiya hatta matla'il fajr. All the way to where? To the sun, to the time of Fajr. What's going to happen? Salam. What is this salam? The very same salam that we use every day. We see each other, we say salam alaikum. On the chat, we say salam alaikum. A lot of times we even use acronyms, we use SA for salam alaikum, right? What is this salam? And is it only just saying salam? So for example, if I keep on saying salam, 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 salam for the entire night of Qadr, would I be an example of this ayah of the Quran? Or no? First of all, salam, what is salam? It's the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? The name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One. How many times has it been mentioned in the Quran? Salam by itself has mentioned 22 times in the Quran. With alif lam has mentioned 7 times. Just salam, right? So 29 times it has mentioned in the Quran in the very same form that we say salam. Now, if you talk about it's like derivatives, the mushtaqat, right? The different types of verbs and adjectives, and it's like different derivatives of the same like root. It goes way up, right? Yuslimun, Muslimun, right? All of this falls within the same category. So again, it's a very important part of the Quran, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that for the entire duration of the night of Qadr, this salam is taking place. So what is he trying to teach them? What is he trying to tell us? What's the meaning of salam? In Farsi or in Arabic, they relate salam to tahiyya. Tahiyya is like when you do a prayer for someone else. In every culture, we have a form of greeting, right? This greeting could be like, with a body language, could be with words. So for example, you can say, hi, hello, how you doing, what's up, what's happening, all of this stuff in English. In Urdu, probably different stuff. In Farsi, different. In Arabic, different, right? In every culture, even in Korean, different. But salam has this dua embedded within it. What is that dua? You're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send His salam upon the person that you are talking to. What is that salam? That's the sense of sound, secure, and being healthy. Right? One word, all of these du'as within it. This is just the meaning of it. So what does it say when Allah says, Salamun hiya hatta matla'il fajr? Is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, sound and secure and health be upon you from the minute of the beginning night of the Qadr all the way to the end of the night of Qadr? If that's the case, we see that people around the world, they're getting killed on the night of Qadr. So that's not the case. What is the ayah is telling us? It is talking about the stages of salam. Part of it is words that we use, right? Part of it talks about the health, as we know. But the minute we say health, we always think about what? The health of the body. Am I for example, is the temperature okay? How's the nutrition? How is the proteins? How are the vitamins? How are the minerals? How are the amino acids, right? How's the exercise? How's the diet? The physical health that we're always concerned about. And how many times do we go to doctor? Per year, per month, per day, per week? How many times do we check different applications? How many different diets and gyms, and how much amount of time do we spend on it? But as a matter of fact, that's not even part of the salam in this ayah. The very first stage of salam this ayah talks about is the salam of mind. What does it mean? It means the health of the mind. What does it mean to be having a healthy mind? They give an example. They say the mind that has absolutely not a single shaitanic or satanic thought in it, that becomes healthy mind. So in the 24-hour basis, as I wake up in the morning, all the way to the time that I go to sleep, how many different thoughts come to my mind? From those, what percentage of those, what portion of those is actually evilish? It comes from the shaitanic aspect. To do something bad, to plan something evil, to say something wrong, right? The thoughts, we're not talking about actions. If my mind has this sense of thoughts coming to itself constantly, that's an indication that my mind is not healthy. So salamun hiya hatta matla al-fajr means I have to try to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to at least make my mind a healthy mind. That's one stage. A deeper stage, they talk about the salam of the heart, the health of the heart. Yes, our heart beats fine. We have taken the heartbeat, alhamdulillah, no problem with the heartbeat, right? No, it's not again the physical aspect. What's the health of the heart? Meaning a heart, because a heart is a lot more important than mind. Why? Because by heart is what when we actually do actions. When heart feels something, we go for it. A lot of times mind may want something or we don't go for it. But when heart wants something, we definitely will go for it. Why? Because it finds that attachment, if you want to say, if it finds that purpose within that specific deed. So the minute heart acknowledges, we go for it. Example of that one: look at the history of Islam. So many debates has taken place in the history of Islam. Look at the debates of Imam al-Raza, for example, our eighth Imam. He talks to the Christians, he talks to the Jews, he talks to the atheists, he talks to the Zoroastrians, he talks to different people from different faiths, using their own books, using their own sense of logic, using their own sense of reasoning. And he defeats every single one of them, right? But not a single one of them embrace Islam. They get defeated. They acknowledge that Imam Ali ibn Musa Raza is the number one, the most knowledgeable person of their time. They do not embrace Islam. What's the difference? Stage of mind is satisfied, but the heart is not. So that's why they say the health of the heart is a lot more important than the health of the mind. So what does the health of the heart means? For my heart not to beat for something other than what is allowed or permissible within the foundation or the limitation of religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this becomes very thorough. Sometimes I don't think for it, but I like it. The sins that we talk about, sometimes I may not even think about it, but just like, finding myself in that situation will give me the sense of joy and pleasure, right? It's part of it is by nature. By nature, human nature likes to have fun, likes to enjoy life, likes to have this like pleasure within the life. But at the same time, we have to make a decision here. What type of joy? What type of pleasure? Like how to what extent of a pleasure? Is it only an instant pleasure, which it results in so many like nonsense afterwards? Or no, we have to aim for a pleasure that has this true sense of pleasure, true sense of happiness, true sense of a peace in which we talk about, right? So that's the health of the heart. And there's this higher stage again, another fourth stage in which they talk about them, which they refer to as the health or the salam of our sir. Sir is like the inner aspect, the batini aspect, the exoteric aspect, which is not seen, right? We do not see it, doesn't mean it's not there. We do not see it, doesn't mean it's not there. What do we recite in Surah Baqarah? الذين يؤمنون بالله, right? والذين يؤمنون بالغيب. This ghaib is part of the principle of religion. Meaning, like, if you want to be a true faithful, we always have this core value. We have to have faith on what is unseen. If the unseen becomes visible to us, then it's not a ghaib anymore. I cannot say I have faith. I cannot say I have iman if everything is crisp and clear in front of me. So that's always going to be there. So we need that health part as well within when it comes to that batini aspect. All of this happening on the night of Qadr, right? So constantly we have to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for at least 4 or 5 different things. The salamat in, of course, the physical aspect, we always ask. Salamat in the stage of mind, salamat in the stage of heart, and the salamat in the stage of the batin. Oh Allah, make all of this salam, make all of this healthy on this night and keep it and maintain it as healthy for the entire year, right? We start from night of Qadr, but we want to maintain it for the entire year. So what are the conditions to obtain this salam, to obtain this health? They actually use 3 minimum conditions. Number 1 is to make sure that we fix up the relation that we have within ourselves and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you don't get in a habit of talking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, If you don't get in the habit of venting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that means we are getting away from the stage of salamat. How so? Let me just give you one simple story, right? One of the famous scholars, Marhum Taliqani, he's known to be like a very great scholar. So he goes to city of Najaf. He's a student of a great, ulama such as Sheikh Ansari. Those who have known a lot about the books, majority of the jurisprudence that we have comes from Sheikh Ansari, mashallah. So he was his like top student. After he finishes his studies, he goes back to Iran. But due to so much like poverty that he was experiencing, he could not even get married. So he would like just live in, he had like, like a small room within his school that he was like teaching. And again, no money at all, to the point that he says sometimes I even had to go and like search for scraps here like in the trash cans just to make sure I'll make a day go by for the next day. He said some time went by and finally, I was fed up with it. It was like, I've studied so many years and I'm living in a like a room in a school, no wife, no kids, no house, nothing, not even food to eat. I mean, what's wrong? What's wrong with me? Said he started thinking to like, okay, maybe I should write a letter to the Maharaja of his time. He started like, doing cons and pros and doing like, checks and balances. Like, should I write the letter? Should I not write the letter? They start thinking that if I write the letter, that's, as if like I make my nafs a little bit of zalil. I lower myself. I should not like request or like raise my request to the Maharaja of my time. That's too much of, zallat for my nafs. He says, okay, no, I'm not going to write it to him, but maybe I will write it to the king of my time, right? Maybe I write it to him like a letter and say, okay, you're the king of the time, and I'm like, this is the condition of my life. I'm not getting anything. Again, he starts doing checks and balances, and he does these cons and pros. He says, no, I think my nafs is more aziz, right? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me the nafs. All this other stuff is lower. Why should I use my nafs to gain this stuff that, has a lower status? So he starts to think and think and think and think. It's like, okay, who should I write letter to? Finally, it hits him. It's like, okay, why not write to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Why not write a letter to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And we have a section within the Hadith book which talks about writing a raq'ah. Raq'ah means letter. To write a letter to who? The addressee is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Write your request, write your hajat, write whatever you want on a piece of paper as a letter, then do what? Then put it in a running water, like a river or something, let it go. We have this in a hadith. So he starts writing his request on a letter. He says, number one, oh Allah, you have mentioned that you give the ruzi for every single, creature of yours that is, alive on this planet Earth. I'm one of those. So number one, this is what I want. And he makes a list. Number one, I want a wife. Number two, I want a good house. Number three, I want, back in the days, they used to have this sort of like, not like a vehicle, but like the stuff that they would tie the horses to, and they would take the people around. I want one of those cartridges, right? Number four, I want some money so I can put it like someplace people can work mudaraba, and from that the money, I will be able to support myself and inshallah my family. Fifth, sixth request. He writes them down in a letter. Now where to drop it? He started to think and think and think. It's like there's no river close by. It's living in the middle of the city, right? He said, okay, I'm just going to put it maybe on the roof of the school. So the school, no, maybe I go to the masjid. Masjid, house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, roof of the masjid. Nobody goes there ever. I'm just going to put the letter there. He goes to the masjid, he puts the letter on the roof of the masjid, he comes down home, and this is happening at the night. He goes home and sleeps. Happily, the very same king of his time is passing through on the next day, early morning, to go for what? For his hunting habit. Usually kings have a good thing for hunting. So they head out early morning from the town. He is moving early morning from the town to go for his hunting business. As he's moving from the masjid, the wind blows. The wind blows, takes the letter from the roof of the masjid, brings it all the way down, and puts it where? At king's hand. He opens up a letter. He starts reading it. So laughing, it's like, what is this? Is it like a childish letter? Asking for a house, asking for a wife, asking for a sense of vehicle, asking for some money, asking for this and that. He calls his wazara, he calls his the ministers. MashaAllah, everybody's ready. All the ministers come, it's like, no, yes, what can we do? It's like, go ahead and find this guy, and there's an address here. Like, school, blah, blah, room number, blah, blah, Mr. blah, blah. Go ahead and find him and bring him to me. They go and they knock on the door. The poor scholar, he opens the door and he sees the police basically. So he gets scared. It's like, yes, what can I do for you? They ask him, they call him by name. Are you this person? He says, yes. Did you write a letter? He's like, how do you guys know about the letter? It's like, did you ask for this stuff? Yes, I asked for this stuff. Come with us. I just, it's a letter to God. I didn't, write a letter to the king, to the sultan. No, I don't want any trouble. No, come with us. They take him to the king. The king looks at him and says, these are the requests you have? He says, yes. He says, the wazir number 1, you go, you find him a wife. Wazir number 2, you go and you find him a house. Wazir number 3, you go and you find him, the vehicle. Wazir number 4, you go and you find him some money, right? Before noontime, all of the 6 requests was fulfilled. Before noontime. By writing, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. By writing a letter to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this habit of talking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a lot of times we miss that. We get so busy with everything, we forget that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is even closer to us than the veins that we have, right? He's constantly with us. He's barely, like literally, he's waiting and waiting and waiting for every single one of us to call his name. That's what he's there for, right? That's what we call him Rabb. Rabb means the one who nurtures. The nurture is always there, present, waiting to hear something in order to provide, right? So that's the first, they say first condition to gain that salam. What is the second condition? To remain the connection that we have with the vilayat. No vilayat, no connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's no vilayat, no connection to literally anything. Because the way the system is set up, right? If you think of it as a hierarchy, if you want to think it in terms of the systematic way, the pathway, the way that we can get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes through vilayat. So this vilayat, we have to bring it and we have to make it part of our daily lives. Not only during the majlis, not only, for example, during Muharram, not only during the month of Ramadan, not only during the Arba'in. No, the vilayat plays a 24/7 role within our life. Again, everything we do is present at the stage of the vilayat, right? All of our deeds is being sent down constantly and been reported to our Imam of time constantly. Sometimes I give this example. Here we're sitting, they put a camera on the speaker. Sometimes I even ask to turn the camera and put it on the audience. How would it be different if they turn the camera right now and they face the audience? Everybody will look nicely, respectfully, mashallah. They look like, wow, this is such an interesting lecture, and they keep on nodding their head, right, up and down. Now, I'll take the camera away and I install even more cameras. I put one personal camera for each one of you, directly at your face. Then how would you sit down? How would you listen to the lecture? Now I'll make it a little bit more advanced. This is a normal camera, it only catches the face, right? Let's say if the technology advances and the camera becomes smart enough that can read our mind. Possible, right? They talk about it. So I put one of those smart cameras on each one of you. Not only catches your face, but records all of the thoughts that comes to your mind. Then how would everybody be sitting in a majlis if they were continue to sit in the majlis, right? So when a camera has this much power, right, because we see it, but at the same time, you have to understand, how many millions and billions of angels are constantly seeing every single thing that we do. Not only actions, but intention too, right? Not only angels, but even higher, the awliya Allah. Not even them, but even higher, the Ahlul Bayt. Not even them, but higher, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As if it's a grand, showcase. It's happening in this planet Earth. We're living in it, but at the same time, we have completely forgotten about it. الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. We have to have faith on that unseen part, right? It's there, and we all will witness it. You know, these near-death experiences, the stories that they have, these are not stories, these are not fairy tales. These are not like, you know, Walt Disney and like Disney characters or, you know, Universal or Paramount. No, no, no. These are true cases of experiences. And interesting, not only from Muslimin and Muslimat, it comes even from the Christians, it comes from the Jewish, it comes from any person who has a near-death experience. Because the reality is constant for everybody, whether they're believer or not. They're going to sense it when the time of maut comes, when the time of death comes. That's when the eyes becomes open, right? The actual eyes, not the physical eyes, right? So the second condition, they say, maintain the connection that we have to the wilayat and extend it and make it more stronger. Third, which is the last condition, is amal, deeds, right? Without action, there will be no rewards. No pain, no gain, right? For everything we want, we got to work for it. So on night of Badr, on the best night of the year, right? Every single deed adds up to 1,000, more than 1,000 months worth of deeds. On the night that is constantly being recommended to offer the 100 rakah prayer, to recite Surah Al 1,000 times, to recite Surah Ankabut, Surah Dukhan, Surah Rum, right? To recite all of these du'as, and we do all of these amal, and we start with the istighfar, and we do the, you know, we take the oath on the Quran. What should we ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What should we ask? If I want to make it even more challenging, imagine we always pray for the appearance of Imam of time. Yes? You always say, Allahumma ajjal li waliyika al-faraj. We always recite dua, Allahumma kulli waliyik, which we have to do it tonight a lot, like in constantly and like, you know, in frequency, right? Now, hypothetically, and why hypothetical? I'll explain it later. Hypothetically, let's say if the zuhur happens right now, if the zuhur happens right now, so the Imam of time comes to this majlis, inshallah, right? What will we say to him? Let's say Imam of time walks into the majlis and he turns around and he says, can I use your cell phone for a second? Right? He wants to make a call. Can I use your cell phone for a second? Would I go ahead and take out my cell phone and say, here you go? Or do I say, sure, but let me do a factory reset first. It takes a couple of minutes, and then I'll give the cell phone. If the Imam of time comes right now and asks us the very same question, can I use your cell phone? Well, what do we ask him? Oh, Imam of time, I want a wife, I want a house, I want a vehicle, I want money. Anything out of these four? Maybe I want a good profession. You know, you can ask for early retirement, right? The money comes in, the insurance is there, alhamdulillah, everything is paid, all the expenses paid, all you have to do is live. But that's not living, that's existing. That's just being there. It's not the topic of hayy. It's not live, it's just there, right? We have to aim for that hayy, we have to aim for that like sense of like, you know, being alive. What are the signs of being alive? What are the conditions of being alive? Just being there, again, look at the history, how many people have come and gone. The signs of being high, you can see some of the pictures here. They lived the life, but even after they departed from this world, the reality was manifested even more so for everybody, right? That's the true meaning of high. Look at Imam al-Hussein, the tragedy of Karbala. You go back in history of mankind, so many battles, so many wars, so many world wars, right, has taken place. So many innocent people have been killed. So many innocent child and infants have been killed. Every day they get killed. None of them get memorized, you know, or remembered, just like the tragedy of Karbala. Why so? The difference between existing and being alive, being high. So on the night of Badr, what do we have to ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? To give us this true sense of salam, which brings about that sense of being inshallah high and alive, inshallah. So one small short of Masa'ib, and inshallah I'll hand it to the brothers if you can dim the nights a little bit. Those who have gone to the ziyarat of Amir al-Mu'mineen in the city of Najaf Ashraf, they know that about 500 meters down on the south side of the holy shrine, there is this marbat. They call it marbat al-Safi Safa. Who is this Safi Safa? It's a very interesting story. They say Amir al-Mu'mineen, before his Shahada, he was one day standing in the part of the Najaf, and Najaf used to be this land of straws, basically. They call it Najaf. He was standing there by the Bahr of Najaf, by the ocean of the Najaf, and he was contemplating. Then he looks up and he sees this man approaching from far distance, and he's having this horse next to him, and there's something on the horse. He waits and waits and waits. The man gets closer and closer and closer. He sees that there's one man on foot. He's holding on this horse on the side, and there is this, something covered on the horse. He comes up closer to Amir al-Mu'mineen. Amir al-Mu'mineen says, Salaam alaikum, alaikum as-salam. Where are you from, or what are you doing here? He says, I have come from Yemen. All the way from Yemen to the city of Najaf at that time. He says, yes, I have traveled all the way from Yemen. Imam asking the second question, he says, what are you carrying with you? What do you have on the horse? Why have you covered it? He says, this is the body of my father. He has passed away. Amir al-Mu'mineen says, your father has passed away. You brought him all the way from Yemen to the city of Najaf. He says, yes. He says, why? He said, because he had a last will, wasiyah. Right before he passed away, he made this will for me and specifically to me and told me, my son, when I pass away, make sure you take my body to this location. He pointed out in the map on me. He said, you take my body over there and you make sure you bury my body there. Amir al-Mu'mineen asked him, did he tell you why? From Yemen all the way to Najaf. It was not there was no airport, right? He says, yes, he told me that later on in the future, a body of a man will be buried in the same location, that out of his blessing and out of the bounties that he has for the people who are buried in that region of land, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives their sins. I want my body to be buried somewhere close to where his body is going to be buried. Amir al-Mu'mineen looks at the son and he says, do you know who is your father talking about? He says, oh, Allah, I don't know. He says, you're looking at him. He drops down on the feet of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Amir al-Mu'mineen says, because you have brought your father all the way from Yemen to here, out of the ma'arifah that he had, I'll take care of his burial place. The ghusl and kafan and the salat al-mayyit. So Amir al-Mu'mineen does this for one person who has a good ma'rifah to travel all the way from Yemen to the city of Najaf. Let's go to the city of Kufa on these nights. Right after the Shahadat of Amir al-Mu'mineen, what's happening in the city of Kufa? They say when the Ahl al-Bayt, when they were coming back from the burial of Amir al-Mu'mineen, as they were going through the Kharaba around the Kufa, they hear this shout. Someone is yelling in the middle of the night, oh Habibi, oh Habibi, Aina al-Habibi. Oh my loved one, oh my dear one, where are you? How come when I call you, you don't answer me anymore? He constantly saying the same thing, oh Habibi, oh Habibi. Imam al-Hasan al-Mushtaba goes in the Rakij, goes in the Kharaba, he looks, he finds this elder uncle who's blind, and he's constantly shouting out, oh Habibi. Imam al-Hasan gets closer to him first, he calms him down, he says, oh uncle, salaam alaikum, how are you? Why are you keep on calling your Habib? Who is your Habib? Who are you calling? There's nobody around here, in the middle of the night. Then he starts giving description. He says, I don't know who you are, but my Habib is one of a kind. He doesn't give me his name. I don't know his name. Every time I ask for his name, he keeps on saying, Ana al-Abd, Ana al-Abd. I'm a servant. But let me give you a description. Every night he would come to me. He would bring me some food. He would sit down to me. He will put the food in my mouth. He will make sure I have the food every single night. He will spend time with me and listen to all of everything that I have to say. But he never gives his name to me. Imam al-Hasan says, okay, then what? He says, for 3 days, I have not seen him. Every time I call him, I do not hear his reply. Every time I call, man, I don't know what to call him, so I call him Habibi. I call him, oh, my loved one. Imam al-Hasan burst out to tears one more time. He says, Ya Akhi, the one that you're talking was my father. He is Amir al-Mu'mineen. He was the Khalif of the Muslimin. He just was murdered about 3 days ago. We're just coming back from his burial. This old man, the blind man, he drops himself at Imam al-Hassan. He says, please, by Allah, take me to his grave. Let me do one last ziyarat of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Let me do one last Fatiha of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Imagine how hard it is. Those who have gone to ziyarat, they know once you get your hands on the shrine of Amir al-Mu'mineen, it's hard to remove your hands from his shrine, as if you want to live in his shrine forever. Now imagine if you have to say farewell to Amir al-Mu'mineen, how difficult it will be. But la yawmka yawmika ya Aba Abdullah. Every time we talk about a farewell, Amir al-Mu'mineen, we talk about him. We say all of the family members, all of the Bani Hashim were there. We talk about Imam al-Hussein being there, Imam al-Hassan being there, Sayyida Zainab, Kulthum, all of the Bani Hashim youth. Everybody was there. But let me talk about one man on the day of Ashura. As he looks up, his grandson, his son Ali al-Akbar has come up to him and he says, oh father, Halli min rukhsa, is there any chance for me to go and fight the battlefield? Imam al-Hussein immediately says, yes, go for it, my son. And he's looking down from the height of Ali Akbar. Ali Akbar gets on the horse. He goes towards the Godal of Qatlika. The Narwaya has, the Maqtul has, Imam al-Hussein starts walking behind Ali Akbar. He's holding on to his beard. He's looking towards the sky as if the entire hope of Imam al-Hussein is going towards the battlefield. But where to go? It is something for the son to put the body of the father in the grave. But for the father put the body of the son in the grave, that's the reason for Abu Abdullah Hussein. He looks at him. He looks at us as this hopeful person. He looks at Ali Akbar and says, oh Allah, bear witness, I'm sending the one towards them. من أشبه الناس إلى رسول خلقا خلقا ومنطقا. I'm sending the one towards the Godal who has the most resemblance towards your Rasul in terms of the khalq and the khulq and the mantiq. Oh Allah, bear witness. Oh Imam al-Hussein, as if the loss of Ali Akbar is nothing. On the 11th night of Ashura, on the 11th night of Muharram, when everything is settled, when everybody's sleeping, they say one lady stands up. She's searching for something. She goes to the Godal of Qatlika. She keeps on looking, and she keeps on looking, and she keeps on looking. She cannot find the body of Abu Abdullah. Some maqatil has that she puts away some of the broken sword, some of the broken spears, some of the rocks and pebbles, some of the debris that are there. She puts all of aside, still she cannot find the body of Abu Abdullah. So she's about to leave the Godal of Qatlika when she hears a shout. Alayya ukhayya, Alayya ukhayya. She turns around, this pile of all of this broken stuff. She kneels down. She puts all of the arrows on one side. She puts the broken sword on the other side. She puts the spears on another side. She reaches in. She brings out the body of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. But what a body! She keeps on looking at the body to find one spot that she can give the last farewell kiss to the Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. How much of a distance do you need? How much of a healthy part do you need? She keeps on looking and looking, and not a single part within the body of Abu Abdullah that she can lay her lips on. So what does she do? She lays the body down again with the... She leans down, she gives one last kiss to the cut-off weight of Abu Hussein. Ya Allah, سيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. ماتم علي.
लगी ज़रब इस्लाम दे नासिर को है उनवी माह रमज़ाने कायनात दी हर शय आयो तरफ गई कितालिया बंद कुराने खड़ी हकला मार کہ آکھے زینب میدا کن گیا ویرے عباس سر تاج لہا وہ جبرائیل آکھے تھیا قتل آج قرآن آزادارو 40 ہجری کو 21 محرم امام علی دی شہادت آزادارو اپنے اپنے ذہن ذرا کوفہ وچ گھن منجو کہ عید کو صرف 9 ڈیوار رہندے پین تواڈے ساڈے گھراں دے وچ عیداں دیاں تیاریاں مگر اہل بیت دے گھر دے وچ ماتم ہے آزادارو تواڈا ساڈا کلچر ہے جو ہر دھی تے اوتے اپنے بابے کلے کچھ منگدی ہے مگر علی دے گھر دی جی قسمت ہے میں پیادا ہر دھی دے دل دی ہائے او آس بھی پئیے عید الفطر دیاں دی میں جو کچھ منگسا میں کو بابا دے سی حسرت دل وچ رہندے میں صدق بطول دی مچری دے رہی عید دے قرلا دے چا سرخ ماما ہایو بابے دا رہی خاک تے اٹھ دے بہاندے اللہ دارو تیرے ویلے جناب امیر کو ضرب لگی ہے جناب امیر دے پتر نالن پھرا نالن دوست نالن اللہ دارو ہی منظر کو ذرا یاد کرو تے کربلا دے منظر کو یاد کرو امیر دے نال سارے پتر نالن سارے بھرا نالن سارے دوست نالن آزادارو جڑے ویلے جناب امیر کو ضرب لگیے پہلے پہلے پانی پلایا گئے آزادارو زمانے دا دستور ہے اگر کوئی زخمی ہوئے تو کو پیاس ڈھیر لگتی ہے آزادارو کہے ٹھیچری دا محرم دا دیوارے زخم دے وچ زخم ہے تیر دے وچ تیر ہے ترائے دیوار دا پیاس ہے بھرا مارے گئے پتر مارے گئے دوست مارے گئے میں پیادہ ہے دستور زمانے ناک کوئی زخمی ہو رہے جگ دنیا تے کو لگ دیے ڈھیر پیاسے کوئی زخمی ہو رہے جگ دنیا تے کو لگ دیے ڈھیر پیاسے جب جیندے ہوویں وچ مشکل دے آ دیندے امداد جدا تیر لگا تن نازک وچ شاہ دیکھیا آسے پاسے سیادہ دے میں کلا پیا ہائے مریندہ میں ڈاکن جیو ویرے عباس آزادارو مولا امیر دی تساں ذرا تصور کرو کہ دھیاں روندیاں پیاں ہمسائے روندے پین اہل کوفہ تمام یتیم لوگ امام دے گھر دے باہر آئے کھڑن گریا ہوندا پیا ہے لیکن 11 محرم دا دیوار تساں اپنے ذہن وچ انو کہ ایک بے کفن لاش ہے نہ دھی کو روون دی اجازت نہ بہن کو روون دی اجازت نہ کوئی دوست نہ کوئی رشتہ دار آزادارو ایک بے کفن لاش ہے تے ایک دھیرے دی کھڑی ہے میں پیادا ایک بے کفن دی ہائے او لاشو تے رہیے دھیے وین کریں دی جے رہر دیندے اتکا پل پیرے پیدا میتن مول سنے دی سینا دیے جے رہن دیندے اتھو امتی تیرے تیکو منگ کے کفان پویندے بیمار ملہا کھڑا رت روندے پیاں بابا شام دو بیندی ازادارو ایک روایت کے مطابق جدہ امیر کو زخر ضرب لگیے تمام دوست تمام بھرا تمام پتر مولا علی کو زخمی حالت اپنے گھر دے نال گیتی اندن کے اچانک جناب امیر نے آکھے جناب امام حسن کو جو ہن روک ونجو میرے اصحاب کو آج جو ہونی تو ونجن تمام دوستوں نے پوچھے مولا اسا تیرے نال رہن چاہتوں جناب امیر نے فرمائے میری غیرت بھی برداشت کریں دی جو رسول دے دیئے دی آواز جو رسول دے دیئے دے گریان دی آواز کوئی اور مرد سنے میں آنا جناب امیر ہوں گلے کتا ہمیں جنا تیری دی بازار شام چادر منگی رہیے اللہ دارے جو ہی جناب سجاد دا قافلہ شبرار شام میں داخل ہویا ہے کیا جناب زینب نہ پوچھا اسی سہرا دیے کیوں رش بازار وچ ود گیا ہے میں کو نس ہے پتر بیمارے کیا میں تو پہلے آئیو شام دے وچ مہمان کدہ نہیں آئے اللہ دارو مولا علی دی آخری رات مولا علی نے اپنے پترے کو وصیتاں شروع کیتیاں ازادارو کیا جناب امیر نے اپنے پترے کو کربلا دے حال نہ دسائے حسن میں پیادہ ہے آخری رات میرے مولا دی چوگردونے کولا دے شبیر دا ول آئیو گل چم دے ہاتھ چم دے آن نمارے میں پیادہ ہے آخری رات میرے مولا دی چوگردونے کولا دے شبیر دا ول آئیو گل چم دے ہاتھ چم دے آن نمارے عباس کو دے آئیو نال روی ہر دکھ وچ بھیرا دے جگہ تیری منزل آئیو ختم تھیوے پیچھے نال ٹرے سجا دے اللہ دارو جناب امیر قتل ہو گئے عید دا دیوار آ گیا میں کو دسو جو عید دے دیوار زہرا دے گھر دی کیڑی حالت ہو سی میں پیادا جیندے تو دنیا ہائے نوری گزرے کیویں عید کرنا او دیا ہائے آکھیا فضا ہائے عید دے دی کئیے بھیڑی غش کر گئیاں ازادارے کوفے دی بے مانی دے کے کوفے دی بے وفائی دے کے میں پیادا پوریا حسن جائید پرہاور کیتے سینی ویرد گلا لگ گئیاں ولیہ حسن نہ جے پئی آئیو عید کنو سینی در تے کھڑی آ رہیاں اللہ لعنت اللہ ہے قوم ظالمین
حسرت ہے اجباب نال آزنا مظلوم علی دی حسرت ہے اج باب نال علا زینب مظلوم علی دی حسرت ہے اج باب نال علا زینب مظلوم علی دی حسرت ہے اج باب نال علا زینب مظلوم علی دی حسرت ہے اج باب نال علا زینب مظلوم علی دی حسرت ہے اج باب نال علا زینب مظلوم علی دی حسرت ہے ساری زندگی تو شرماندی رہی کن علامات باندھی رہی ساری زندگی تو شرماندی رہی کن علامات باندھی رہی یہ بھی وقت یہ بھی وقت اخیری بابتا سونے اج تانا شرما زینب مظلوم علی دی حسرت ہے اج باب نال علا زینب مظلوم علی دی حسرت ہے اج باب نال علا زینب مظلوم علی دی حسرت ہے جنا زینت بن میں رسیاں دی جنا زینت بن میں رسیاں دی او کس یا تو چموا زینب مظلوم علی دی حسرت ہے اج باب نال علا زینب مظلوم علی دی حسرت ہے اج باب نال علا زینب مظلوم علی دی حسرت ہے میں کو بابا واز گل سمجھا کڑے جرم دے وچ میں قید ہوسا میں کو بابا واز گل سمجھا کڑے جرم دے وچ میں قید ہوسا ان ویر اٹھارہ اجڑی دے ان ویر اٹھارہ اجڑی دے میں ہو ویسے تنہا زینب مظلوم علی دی حسرت ہے اج باب نال علا زینب مظلوم علی دی حسرت ہے اج باب نال علا زینب مظلوم علی دی حسرت ہے اج باب نال علا زینب مظلوم علی دی حسرت ہے نت شایا رہندیا نہیں بچڑے ہر دور بدلتے رہندے نت شایا رہندیا نہیں بچڑے ہر دور بدلتے رہندے اج کوفے دی شہزادی ہے اج کوفے دی شہزادی ہے کل سے رسیاں پا زینب مظلوم علی دی حسرت ہے اج باب نال علا زینب مظلوم علی دی حسرت ہے اج باب نال علا زینب مظلوم علی دی حسرت ہے جن پیو کو مویا نالی کر گزرن آدھی کی وید کرے جن پیو کو مویا نالی ہس دیا عید کیتی کوفے دیا ہس دیا عید کیتی رہی رو دی خاک روا زینا مظلوم علی دی حسرت ہے اج باب نال علا زینا مظلوم علی دی حسرت ہے اج باب نال علا زینا مظلوم علی دی حسرت ہے اج باب نال علا زینا مظلوم علی دی حسرت ہے اج باب نال علا زینا مظلوم علی دی حسرت ہے اج باب نال علا زینا مظلوم علی دی حسرت ہے اج باب نال مظلوم علی دی حسرت ہے اج باب نال علا زینا مظلوم علی دی حسرت ہے ساری زندگی تو شرماندی رہی جن علماء دا باندھی رہی ساری زندگی تو شرماندی رہی جن علماء دا باندھی رہی بھی وقت اخیری بابے دار بھی وقت اخیری بابے دار توڑے اج دانا شرما زینا مظلوم علی دی حسرت ہے اج بالے یا علی 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 ہے 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 علی یا 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 علی خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں بے درد مسلمان تو 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 خوشیاں منا بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں عرب و عجم کے مولا دنیا سے جا رہے ہیں بے درد مسلمان خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں عرب و عجم کے مولا خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں بے درد مسلمان تو 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 خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں کچھ تو لحاظ کرتے داماد مصطفیٰ کا کچھ تو لحاظ کرتے داماد مصطفیٰ کا سجدے میں جو علی پہ ہر ظلم ڈھا رہے ہیں بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں درب و عزم کے مولا دنیا سے جا رہے ہیں بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا 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 رہے ہیں احمد کے بعد زہرا اب چل پڑے علی بھی احمد کے بعد زہرا اب چل پڑے علی بھی آثار پنج تن کے زہرے مٹا رہے ہیں بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں احمد کے بعد زہرا اب چل پڑے علی بھی احمد کے بعد زہرا اب چل پڑے علی بھی آثار پنج تن کے زہرے مٹا رہے ہیں بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے
درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں، برسیں گے تیر پیہم تابوت پر حسن کے، برسیں گے تیر پیہم تابوت پر حسن کے، مولا یہ وقت آخر رو کر بتا رہے ہیں، یہ درد مسلمان کو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں، بے درد مسلمان کو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں، عرب و عجم کے مولا دنیا سے جا رہے ہیں، بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں، بے درد مسلمان تو بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں، 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 نکلے ہیں آگ لے کر کچھ لوگ سقیفہ سے، نکلے ہیں آگ لے کر کچھ لوگ سقیفہ سے، سادات کے گھروں کو اب تک جلا رہے ہیں، بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں، بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں، نکلے ہیں آگ لے کر کچھ لوگ سقیفہ سے، نکلے ہیں آگ لے کر کچھ لوگ سقیفہ سے، سادات کے گھروں کو اب تک جلا رہے ہیں، بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں، بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں، عرب و عجم کے مولا دنیا سے جا رہے ہیں، بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں، بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں، بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں، نکلے ہیں آگ لے کر کچھ لوگ سقیفہ سے، نکلے ہیں آگ لے کر کچھ لوگ سقیفہ سے، سادات کے گھروں کو اب تک جلا رہے ہیں، بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا 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 رہے ہیں، اسی کے گھر میں چلنا وہ شام کا سفر ہے، اسی کے گھر میں چلنا وہ شام
शाम का सफर है, तेरी कैद के ज़माने नज़दीक आ रहे हैं। बेदर्द मुसलमान तो खुशियाँ मना रहे हैं, बेदर्द मुसलमान तो खुशियाँ मना रहे हैं, बेदर्द मुसलमान तो खुशियाँ मना रहे हैं। तू उसी के घर में चलना, वो शाम का सफर है, तू उसी के घर में चलना, वो शाम का सफर है। तेरी कैद के ज़माने नज़दीक आ रहे हैं, बेदर्द मुसलमान तो खुशियाँ मना रहे हैं, बेदर्द मुसलमान तो खुशियाँ मना रहे हैं, बेदर्द मुसलमान तो खुशियाँ मना रहे हैं। मातम कर लो मोमिनो हैदर, करार का 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 मातम कर लो। खाक उड़ाओ के अली शेरे खुदा मारे गए, खाक उड़ाओ के अली शेरे खुदा मारे गए। बाजुए अहमद का मातम कर लो, बाजुए अहमद मुख्तार का मातम कर लो मोमिनो हैदर, करार का मातम कर लो मोमिनो हैदर, करार का मातम कर लो मोमिनो हैदर, करार का मातम कर लो। मोहम्मद के अलम दार का मातम कर लो, हाँ मोहम्मद के अलम दार का मातम कर लो मोमिनो हैदर, करार 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 का मातम कर लो। खाक उड़ाओ के अली शेरे खुदा मारे गए, खाक उड़ाओ के अली शेरे खुदा मारे गए। बाजुए अहमद मुख्तार का मातम कर लो, बाजुए अहमद मुख्तार का मातम कर लो मोमिनो हैदर, करार का मातम कर लो मोमिनो हैदर, करार का मातम कर लो। बाजुए अहमद मुख्तार का मातम कर लो, बाजुए अहमद मुख्तार का मातम कर लो मोमिनो है کرار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو جس کے در سے نہ گیا خالی سوال کوئی جس کے در سے نہ گیا خالی سوال کوئی ہر ولی کہتا ہے یہ کر کے علی کا ماتم ہر ولی کہتا ہے یہ کر کے علی کا ماتم میرے آقا میرے سرکار کا ماتم کر لو میرے آقا میرے سرکار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار 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 کا ماتم کر لو میرے آقا میرے سرکار کا ماتم کر لو میرے آقا میرے سرکار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو مل کے جبریل کے استاد کا پرسا دے دو مل کے جبریل کے استاد کا پرسا دے دو صاحب دلدلو تلوار کا ماتم کر لو صاحب دلدلو تلوار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو مل کے جبریل کے استاد کا پرسا دے دو مل کے جبریل کے استاد کا پرسا دے دو صاحب دلدلو تلوار کا ماتم کر لو صاحب دلدلو تلوار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو کرار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو ہاں محمد کے علم دار کا ماتم کر لو ہاں محمد کے علم دار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو اپنے قاتل کو دیا جس نے کہ جامے شیر اپنے قاتل کو دیا جس نے کہ جامے شیر کوثری جام کے مختار کا ماتم کر لو کوثری جام کے مختار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو اپنے قاتل کو دیا جس نے کہ جامے شیر اپنے قاتل کو دیا جس نے کہ جامے شیر مختار کا ماتم کر لو کوثری جام مختار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار 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 کا ماتم مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو 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 موفا ہو گئے وہ بلا شام سے آتے ہے صدا موفا ہو گئے وہ بلا شام سے آتے ہے صدا گلزار کا ماتم کر لو گلزار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو ہاں محمد کے علم دار کا ماتم کر لو ہاں محمد کے علم دار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار 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 मातम कर लो मोमिनो हैदर सरदार का मातम कर लो जो के पांचों में भी है 12 इमामों में भी है जो के पांचों में भी है 12 इमामों में भी है सारे नबियों गारे का मातम कर लो सारे नबियों के मदद गारे का मातम कर लो मोमिनो हैदर सरदार का मातम कर लो या हुसैन 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 या
السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين السلام عليك يا علي بن أبي طالب السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين السلام عليك يا ابن الصديقة الطاهرة فاطمة سيدة نساء العالمين السلام عليك يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله ورحمة الله وبركاته أشهد أنك قد أقمت الصلاة وآتيت الزكاة وأمرت بالمعروف ونهيت عن المنكر وتلوت الكتاب حق تلاوته وجاهدت في الله حق جهاده وصبرت على الأذى في جنبه محتسبا حتى أتاك اليقين أشهد أن الذين خالفوك وحاربوك والذين خذلوك والذين قتلوك ملعونون على لسان النبي الأمي فقد خاب من افترى لعن الله الظالمين لكم من الأولين والآخرين وضاعف عليهم العذاب الأليم أتيتك يا مولاي يا ابن رسول الله زائرا عارفا بحقك مباليا لأوليائك معاديا لأعدائك مستبصرا بالهدى الذي أنت عليه عارفا بضلالة من خالفك فاشفع لي عند ربك. السلام عليك يا حجة الله في أرضه وسمائه صلى الله على روحك الطيب وجسدك الطاهر وعليك السلام يا مولاي ورحمة الله وبركاته. Brothers, we are in front of the Haram and Darigh Agha Abu Abdullah Hussain. Please feel in that situation and pray for yourself and with respectfully recite Ziyarah. Brothers, please don't speak. Brothers! If you want to speak, you have more time. This is time of ziyarah. At least 5 minutes to listen, then speak until morning.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
السلام عليك يا مولاي وابن مولاي ورحمة الله وبركاته. لعن الله من ظلمك ولعن الله من قتلك وضاعف عليهم العذاب الأليم. السلام عليكم أيها الصديقون. السلام عليكم أيها الشهداء الصابرون. أشهد أنكم جاهدتم في سبيل الله وصبرتم على الأذى في جنب الله ونصحتم لله ولرسوله حتى أتاكم اليقين. أشهد أنكم أحياء عند ربكم ترزقون. فجزاكم الله عن الإسلام وأهله أفضل جزاء المحسنين وجمع بيننا وبينكم في محل النعيم. زيارة أبا الفضل الأباس. السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليك أيها العبد الصالح المطيع لله ورسوله. أشهد أنك قد جاهدت ونصحت وصبرت حتى أتاك اليقين. لعن الله الظالمين لكم من الأولين والآخرين وألحقهم بدرك الجحيم.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Inshallah, Allah accepts all of your great deeds and amal till now. If everybody can get the Quran with them as you're facing the Qibla, let's make the intention sincere and have that ikhlas, inshallah. It is the night of Badr, the 23rd night of the month of Ramadan, the night which is more than 1,000 months worth of work. Now, in this month, there is that beautiful famous hadith in which Nabi Musa is talking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he says, إلهي أريد قربك قال قربي لمن استيقظ ليلة القدر. If you want to be close to me, closeness to me is for those who stay awake and maintain and make the night of Qadr alive. Then he says, إلهي أريد رحمتك. Oh Allah, I want your mercy, I want your rahmah, I want your kindness. قال رحمتي لمن رحم المساكين في ليلة القدر. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if you want my mercy, if you want to gain my rahmah, it is my rahmah for those who have rahmah upon all of those masakeen on the night of Qadr, all of those weak ones, all of the ones who are facing difficulties. قال إلهي أريد الجواز على الصراط. Nabi Musa says, oh Allah, I want the jawaz, I want the passport, I want that citizenship, but I want that citizenship for the sirat, I want that for the sirat al-mustaqim. How can I gain that? قال ذلك لمن تصدق بصدقة ليلة القدر. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if you want that passport, if you want that jawaz, that jawaz is for those who pay sadaqah on the night of Qadr. قال إلهي أريد النجاة من النار قال ذلك لمن استغفر في ليلة القدر. Nabi Musa said, Oh Allah, I want the najat, I want the savior from the fire of the hereafter. How can I be saved from the fire of the hell, and how can I be saved from the fire of the Jahannam? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, that is for those who actually do istighfar on the night of Qadr. Last but not least, قال إلهي أريد رزاك قال رزايا بمن صلى ركعتين في ليلة القدر. Nabi Musa says, Oh Allah, I want your razaya, I want your contentment, I want that stage of radiyatan mardiyah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responds to Nabi Musa and he says, if you want my contentment, if you want to gain my razaya relies for those who maintain prayer and offer prayer on the night of Qadr. So let's take this opportunity, inshallah, and let's treat it as our last opportunity. We don't know, like next year, this time, if you're going to be alive. We don't even know if you're going to be alive the next day. So let's take the opportunity. Let's make the intention, inshallah, for the a'mal of Qadr, and inshallah we can include all the marhumin and marhumat as well, and all of those zawul huquq, every single person who has a right upon us, whether being a teacher, whether being a parent, whether being a good friend, whether being a good community member, brother, sister, doesn't matter. Let's include all of them. Let's include the shahada, let's include the ulama and marajih, and inshallah we can start the a'mal. But first, before everything else, let's remember all of those who have come down with sicknesses, and all of those who have hawaij and du'as, and inshallah we can ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on His grace and His fadl to answer their hawaij, and inshallah provide cure as we recite the ayah of Amma al-Mujib 5 times together. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء
أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء.
First step on the deed of the night of Qadr is to have the repentance and the tawbah, inshallah. So we can repeat it for 10 times together. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم الرحمن الرحيم ذو الجلال والإكرام أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم الرحمن الرحيم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم الرحمن الرحيم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه أستغفر الله الحي القيوم الرحمن الرحيم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. Everybody 10 times together. إلهي العاب 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 إلهي العاب. Open the Quran and place it in front of you. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أسألك بكتابك المنزل وما فيه وفيه اسمك الأكبر وأسماؤك الحسنى وما يخاف ويرجى أن تجعلني من عتقائك من النار. حاجات. As are all hajjat, let's recite the dua of Imam Sajjad. Allahumma inni amsaytu laka abdan dakhira la amliku li nafsi naf'an wala dharra ولا أصرف عنها سوءا أشهد بذلك على نفسي وأعترف لك بضعف قوتي وقلة حيلتي فصل على محمد وآل محمد وأنجز لي ما وعدتني وجميع المؤمنين والمؤمنات من المغفرة في هذه الليلة وأتمم علي ما آتيتني فإني عبدك المسكين المستكين الضعيف الفقير المهين اللهم لا تجعلني ناسيا لذكرك فيما أوليتني ولا غافلا لإحسانك فيما أعطيتني ولا آيسا من إجابتك وإن أبطأت عني في سراء أو ضراء أو شدة أو رخاء أو عافية أو بلاء أو بؤس أو نعمى إنك سميع الدعاء. صلوات. Place the Quran on your head as if that holding the Quran would not be enough. Now we are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the best of the books and the only revelation to mankind from day one till the day of judgment, known as the Holy Quran, to be the intercession for us. So let's recite the dua all together. Allahumma bihaqqi hadha al-Quran wa bihaqqi man arsaltahu bih wa bihaqqi kulli mu'minin madahtahu fi wa bihaqqika alayhim فلا أحد أعرف بحقك منك. 10 times. بك يا الله 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 بك يا الله. 10 times. بمحمد بمحمد 10 times. بعلي 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 بعلي. As they say, the reality of night of Qadr, whoever realizes the reality of the night of Qadr, as Imam Sadiq has said, has actually understood and acknowledged Sayyid Fatima al-Zahra. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ. Just as we cannot see and understand the reality of the night of Qadr, there is no way for us to understand what is the true status of Sayyid Fatima al-Zahra as well. So now let's use her beautiful name, and inshallah we can include her hawaj. Let's go to the city of Medina, but no shrine, no grave. Is it in the Baqi? Is it in the Masjid al-Nabi? Is it on the Bar of Jibreel? I don't know which part in the city of Medina. But now these nights, as you know, after 30 plus years, finally there is that meeting point between Amir al-Mu'mineen and Sayyid Fatima al-Zahra. So let's say 10 times together. Befatimata, Befatimata, Befatima, Befatimata, Befatimata, Befatima, Befatimata, Befatimata, Befatima. Fatimata. As you walk by the Masjid al-Nabi, you see this little part. At night is the most darkest night in the city of Medina. There are no lights. They will not even let you to get close to that. During the day, only for specific hours, they will allow you to go inside. That is called the cemetery of Baqi, the Qabristan of Baqi. Once you go in, you see these 4 graves right next to one another. No tombstones, no shrine, no like in a golden dome, no not even lightings. You're not allowed to even stand by. You're not allowed to recite ziyarah. You're not even allowed to offer 2 rak'ah prayer on the side of the Baqi. But now we have 4 of our imams laying there next to one another.
Oh Allah, give us the tawfiq to build a shrine for them one day. Oh Allah, give us the tawfiq to go to the ziyarat of our A'immatul Baqi. Oh Allah, on the right of A'immatul Baqi, place our end, a very blessed end. Everybody 10 times together, let's call the name of the Kareem of the Ahlul Bayt. بالحسن 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 بالحسن. The next one, I'm not supposed to even mention anything, but let's go to the land of Karbala. Let's go to the Bayn al-Haramayn. Let's go to the beautiful Bargah and the Haram of Imam al-Hussein. The last of the five, the Aziz of Fatima, the Madloom al-Atshan, الذين قتلوا عطشانا, the one who was killed without giving a pinch of water. Let's look at his golden dome. It is the night of Ziyarat al-Makhsus. Let's look at his beautiful dome and say 10 times together, Bella Hussein, Bella Hussein, Bella Hussein, Bella Hussein. بالحسين 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 بعلي بن الحسين 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 بمحمد بن علي 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 بمحمد بن علي. Now, so many people around the world in history of Islam, they have been killed, they have been put alongside of a wall, they have been used as a thing between the bricks of the wall just for one reason, to have the name of Ja'fari. So let's go to the side of Baqi, let's go to our beautiful sixth Imam, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, and let's write his name and mention his name 10 times together. إلهي بجعفر بن محمد 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 بجعفر بن محمد. Let's take a turn. Let's go to the city of Kazamain with the two beautiful golden domes of Bab al-Hawaij, Musa ibn Ja'far alayhi salam. Those who have Hawaij, those who have requests, those who have du'as and they keep on saying iltimas du'a. This is the Bab al-Hawaij. This is the Imam that most of his years he spent in prison. Yet again, he is known to be the Bab al-Hawaij. So now we can see how generous he is, not to be with the people, but at the same time constantly providing for the people. So let's call out his name. Ilahi Musa ibn Ja'far, Musa ibn Ja'far, Musa ibn Ja'far, Musa ibn Ja'far. بموسى بن جعفر 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 بموسى بن جعفر. Now we have to take a turn, go all the way to the east to the city of Mashhad, where we have our eighth Imam, Imam Ali ibn Musa Raza, known as Imam al-Ra'uf, also known as Gharib al-Ghuraba. We can relate so much to our eighth Imam. We all are Gharib, oh Imam al-Raza. We all are Gharib among the whole nation, oh Gharib al-Ghuraba. Take a look at all of us, 10 times together. بعلي بن موسى 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 بعلي بن موسى. Now let's go back to the city of Khartoum, where the Aziz Durdana of Amir Ali ibn Musa is residing there right by his grandfather. Our youngest Imam, only about 24 years of age, yet again has so much within the generosity. He's known as Al-Jawad, the one who's constantly giving and constantly being generous and constantly providing. How much can you provide within 24 years that people know you as Al-Jawad? So let's ask him that, oh Imam Al-Jawad, we'll ask you to protect our youth and to ask you to protect our elders, and we'll ask you to protect our newborns. And oh Imam Al-Jawad, we'll ask you for one thing, to grant all of us the ziyarat al-Qazimin. 10 times together. بعلي بن محمد بمحمد بن علي 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 بمحمد بن علي. Now let's go to the city of Samara. Those who have gone, they know Samara is just like home. As you walk in, you know you're walking in the house of Imam of Time. It is the house in which holds the grave of his grandfather, the grave of his father, the grave of his mother, the grave of his auntie. It is the place for Imam of Time. Once you walk in, as if you've been embraced by the Imam of Time. So let's make the intention and let's recite it together 10 times. بمحمد بن علي بعلي بن محمد 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 10 times. بالحسن بن علي 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 بالحسن بن علي.
إلهي بالحجة
بالحجة بالحجة بالحجة بالحجة بالحجة بالحجة بالحجة بالحجة
Let's ask for our hajat after all of these tawassul, and inshallah after calling Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by His name, calling the Ahlul Bayt by their name. Let's take one moment, let's think deep, and let's come up with the best of the hajat that we can ask.
Don't settle down with the easy hajat. No, ask for the best of the best. They asked the Imams, what should we ask in the Laylatul Qadr? Imam kept on saying the one thing, ask for afiyah, afiyah, and afiyah. Let's take a moment, 1 minute of silence. Ask your hajat from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't forget about the hasten of appearance of Imam of time. Don't forget about the shifa of Maridan from all over the world. Don't forget about the Hawaj of Mu'mineen and Mu'minat. Doesn't matter which part of the world, whether it being in the Middle East, whether it being in Iran, Pakistan, India, whether it be Palestine, Syria, Iraq. Doesn't matter where we be in Lebanon or all over the world. Include all the Mu'mineen and Mu'minat in your du'as and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help every single one of them. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to prepare the conditions and ground ready for the appearance of Imam of time. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the tawfiq to be part of his companions and inshallah be able to show our support and be active on his side. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for constant guidance on the Sirat al-Mustaqim and the blessed end and the last of the ends inshallah. Let's recite the dua together. إلهي عظم البلاء وبرح الخفاء وانكشف الغطاء وضاقت الأرض ومنعت السماء وأنت المستعان وإليك المشتكى وعليك المعول في الشدة والرخاء. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وللعهد الذين فرضت علينا طاعتهم وعرفتنا بذلك منزلتهم ففرج عنا بحقه فرجا عاجلا قريبا كلمح البصر أو مباشرة يا محمد يا علي يا علي يا محمد اكفياني فإنكما كافيان وانصراني فإنكما ناصران يا مولانا يا صاحب الغوث 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 أدركني 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 الساعة 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 العجل 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 يا أرحم الراحمين بحق محمد وآله الطاهرين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أمن يجيب المضطر إذا أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء
أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء اللهم إنا نسألك وندعو باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم إلهي بحق محمد وعلي وفاطمة والحسن والحسين وتسعة المعصومين من ذرية الحسين يا الله 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 اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج والعافية والناصر واجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره. Oh Allah, will ask you on this beloved night, on the night of Qadr and on the right of Ahlul Bayt, oh Allah, hasten and hasten and hasten the appearance of the Imam of Time. Oh Allah, place our name among his true companions. Oh Allah, will ask you to accept this majlis from all of us and include the sawab of his majlis to the soul of the marhumin and marhumat, to the ulama and maraji. Oh Allah, will ask you on the right of the Ahlul Bayt and on your grace and fazl, oh Allah, to open our eyes with the light of the Ahlul Bayt on the first night of our grave. Oh Allah, will ask you to grant every single one of us the ziyarat with ma'rifah of the Ahlul Bayt and their shafa'ah in the hereafter. Oh Allah, will ask you to protect our family and children and our offspring. Oh Allah, will ask you to provide complete shafa'ah for all of those sicknesses. Oh Allah, we'll ask you to extend your forgiveness and mercy upon all of us and upon all of the marhumin and marhumat, and especially all of those who have volunteered for these programs and those who have sponsored the programs. Oh Allah, extend your special mercy upon all of them. Oh Allah, we'll ask you not to make this night of Qadr the last of our nights of Qadr. If you do so, Allah, have us all on the sufra of Amir al-Mu'mineen in the hereafter. Oh Allah, on this beloved night, all of us have one simple question and one simple hajat. Oh Allah, grant us the qurb and closeness and nearness to you and only you and only you. رحم الله من قرأ فاتحة مع الصلوات. So if you can, Brother Tola, as you face the Qibla, offer 2 rakat with the intention of Raja'ah for Ziyarat of Abdullah Hussein. Give the sawab inshallah to Imam Hussein, and also once you're done with the intention of offering 2 rakat for Laylatul Qadr, in each rakat Surah Hamd and 7 times Qul Huwallahu Ahad. As you are facing the Qibla, start reciting Astaghfirullah Rabbi wa Atubu Ilayh 70 times. The 70 times don't go by quickly. Why? Because the hadith says, by the time you're finishing the Astaghfirullah Rabbi wa Atubu Ilayh, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives all of the sins, the Haqqullah sins. So take your time, recite the Astaghfirullah inshallah with contemplation. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad.